Good evening. I'm speaking today with Mr. M I M Mohideen, the Executive Director of the Muslim Documentation Center. Mr. Mohideen, a very warm welcome to the program. When we were talking just before the program began, I mean, you gave a rich set of experiences of your interactions with Sri Lanka's peace processes over a couple of decades. I mean, how did you come about to work in this field?
Thank you very much for inviting me for this program. To start with, for the last 40 years, I have been associated with this process. I was the Joint Secretary of the All-Ceylon Muslim League, and so many other organizations, and very closely associated with all the Muslim leaders like Sir Razik Farid, Dr. T.B. Jaya, Dr. Khalil, Badruddin Muhammad, and all those things. Actually, I am from the East. My hometown is Akrapat. But I came here 52 years ago and associated with all the Muslim associations and worked very closely. My specialty is to document the Muslim issue. I have interviewed, don't get shocked, 72,000 Muslim families in the Northeast. Collected all the data
over a period of
40 years, but specifically after the 1983 pogrom. And I have documented the whole ethnic cleansing issue, land issue in the Eastern Province, and the tsunami victims. I have interviewed 72,000 Muslim families from down south, Arugambe, up to the northern Jaffna.
Now, you spoke of a Muslim issue. What is that issue?
Muslims issue, what I feel is, Muslims are not terrorists. We have never asked for the separation of this country. We stood with the Sinhalese people, majority community, at the time of independence. T.B. Jaya, then leader of the Muslim League, who was in parliament, supported SWR Bandaranaike and said, peace to Sri Lanka, independence to Sri Lanka is very important. We'll forget about all the other issues. We are together with the Sinhala majority in supporting the independence. That is the Dominion Status Bill. And we wanted a fair share of our right as citizens of this country. We are not terrorists. We are not for the division of the country.
Yes, but I asked you, what is the Muslim issue?
Muslim issues, there are so many issues facing the Muslims today.
So it's in the plural, it's not.
Yes.
Not,
especially the Eastern Province Muslims having a terrible problem with regard to our land rights. Northern Province, the entire Muslim population were chased out within 48 hours. They are all languishing in refugee camps. Most of them in Puttalam. I have got all the details. Then our political rights, our representations, this proportional representation election system and the executive presidency have made us terribly suffer. Muslim issue, the land issue of the Muslims in the Eastern Province. Resettlement issue of the northern Muslim displaced. Resettlement of the tsunami victims. As you know, the worst affected area of the tsunami is the eastern coast, particularly the Ampara district. We were very badly let down.
And so, explain to us, I mean, this is Boxing Day 2004, 5 years down the line. The picture painted of reconstruction and development and all that has been associated with the work to rebuild these communities, rehabilitate these communities after the tsunami writ large across the country has been a positive one. Sure, there have been pitfalls, but we are told that things have progressed. Now, is that different to your perspective?
Ground situation is totally different. And today, all the Muslim MPs are ministers. Most of these people who left the Muslim Congress and joined the government, they said they joined the government in order to help the Muslim community who were the victims of this tsunami, the ethnic cleansing and all that. But actually the ground situation is totally different. tsunami victims were not adequately looked after. Even the Norichola houses, 400 houses built in my hometown, Akkarapatti, there were a lot of problems. You see, I don't want to, it's a very big issue. We have got all the details, and this is not the forum for us.
I mean, the Documentation Center and you might have made representations with the facts and evidence that you have? And
yes.
What's the reception been?
You know, we made representation, but there are Muslim politicians, MPs and ministers, most of them are ministers, they just hoodwink the victims and they just throw some bones and they are very happy about it. But the issue is not settled. They were all suffering. And that is about the tsunami. The resettlement issue. You know, the resettlement, the Eastern Province, the government says they have cleared the area. The whole area is under the government. LTT is no more there. But the Tamils who have been displaced during the LTTE, that operation, were temporarily settled in Muslim lands belonging to Muslim mosques and Muslim people. Instead of giving back the lands to the owners, they are permanently settling them in those places, which is against the Muslim interest. That we are totally opposed.
Now, what is the Muslim interest?
Muslim interest, we want...
You began by saying you don't want separatism, you're not interested in terrorism. What is the interest then?
Muslim interest, first of all, we want our rights enshrined in the Constitution. Language rights. Now, to quote an example, the majority districts are Ampara and Trincomalee, Muslim majority. These two districts, there was not a single Muslim government agent up to now. Administrations, Muslims have been sidelined. The language of administration of the eastern and northern province should be Tamil language. But the administration in Ampara Kacheri and Trincomalee Kacheri is mostly done in Sinhala. This is what we are asking, you see. During the Grow More Food campaign, soon after the World War II, Muslims were asked to clear jungle lands to grow more food. Muslims have been cultivating those lands for more than 25-30 years on temporary permits. We want that permits to be converted into title deeds, ownership. These are the discrimination.
Now, could it be the case that these grievances existed within 30 years of conflict? I want to also enter into the constitutional mechanisms that can perhaps address some of these grievances. And with respect to that, the 13th Amendment, and suggest to you that given what we are told, that 2009 being a decisive year for the offensive against the LTTE, that there might be then the space to implement those constitutional mechanisms that have lain dormant for whatever reason as you go into the future. Now, what's your perspective on this? Are you hopeful that that will be the case, or is it the case that the ground situation is again very different and not conducive?
You know, as things are, my belief is that future is not going to be rosy.
Yeah.
Because all that promises, all that rights enshrined in the Constitution, particularly the 13th Amendment, establishment of the provincial councils, those things were done in order to satisfy the grievances of the minorities, Tamils and Muslims. Establishment of the provincial council. What happened? The provincial council is unable to take off. Take, for example, the present Eastern Provincial Council. They are unable to pass statutes on that provincial list to implement, to pass laws and statutes. They don't have enough officers to do that. Whenever they send a draft, it takes about 2 to 3 years from the Attorney General's department. They are unable to do anything.
Right.
Land rights. Land rights to be settled through a national land commission. That land commission has not been established for the last 22 years. Police powers and law and order. Nothing is being done.